Right. Obviously, I'm more from the contracting background, and I'm not into all these Japanese words in books. My job at T5 was to basically try and implement a lot of this theory that was coming across mainly from the States. To be honest, I think one of the eye-openers for me when I started at T5, I was going through the motions basically, and then I went to a presentation by an Institute of Management guy turned up, and he went to the front and he turned to a room full of contractors basically, and he put a pound on the table and he said, for every pound BAA spend, how much value do you think, actual value do you think we get from that? And they went around the room and it was sort of 90 pence, 80 pence, 70 pence. And what kind of silenced the room was when he said 20 pence. 20% value they actually get out of what contractors were providing them. And that caused a lot of discussion. And I went through several months really of thinking about this, total denial at first. No, I can't do that much. Then you talk to these gurus and you work with them every day and you start to see stuff coming through and it's sort of to and fro. You sort of go into accepting it and you go back into denial and accepting and denial. And I think I've come to a stage where I realise there is a lot of waste. There's an awful lot of waste. I don't know if it's 20 pence value or if it's 50 pence value. Depends on the job, depends on the client, depends on the contractor. I think depends on what they're actually doing. But I think we need to accept as contractors there's an awful lot of waste in the processes that's employed to provide projects. And from that, we set off on a journey, and it is really a journey. You don't suddenly become lean. You don't just turn up one day and say, we're going to be lean, can we do this? It's constant. It's just striving all the time for improvement. And if you can make an improvement, that's all well and good. But one of the first slides Nigel put up was, I don't know what you termed it now, but I termed it a step change. You need to do something drastic to create a step change. It's no good 4% improvement, 5% improvement. We need to start giving 25, 30, 50% improvements. And for that we need step changes, and for that we need to look at the processes that we actually use. A lot of the stuff is, you go outside and bring in bridge beams, it's fine. But it's what happens way before that. It's what happens even when the guys are designing these 5 things. Can we make them standard? Can we standardise products? Can we just make things that we make every day so that the site becomes an assembly point rather than a construction point? And I think it's that we're sort of battling with day on, day out, with trying to make things more standard, trying to get not an assembly line as in Ford, but more an assembly place where we bring materials to site, we put them together, and that's it. And upstream of that, the value stream going upstream from the suppliers and from their suppliers needs to be brought into this because it takes a lot of trust. Trying to get the materials in the right place at the right time is all very well and good, but if it goes wrong, it's there at the wrong time. And that's when you get people standing around. And we had a thing on T5 where the LRM is the last responsible moment. And you have to go through that. It is about learning, and as I say, it's not something you just turn on, we go and lead and that's it. It's a whole culture change. It's a whole different ballgame. And I've been around a few sites and projects since, and some projects will take it, some projects won't take it. Some projects need it, desperately need it, but the way it's set up just isn't possible. I'm just going to run through a few slides. Now I'm going to a bit of a talk at the end really, but in terms of lean, from my point of view, what does lean mean to me? I'm looking at standardisation. Can we reduce costs by standardising the products? When I say products, I'm talking design, production and installation. It's the whole thing. Revisit the processes, improve them. That's where we're going to get the step change from. We're not going to get, we're looking for 1 or 2%, it's not really valid. Off-site pre-assembly comes into it. It's not You can't suddenly say, oh, we're doing this off start, so we're becoming lean. It's one part of it. This thing is, you know, it's like a whole spectrum. So that's just one part of it, really. Improved performance. One of the things Nigel mentioned was Henry Ford basically owned the process, the whole process. Obviously, we've got manufacturing centres being built. We're slowly but surely getting to own the whole process. And I think that's quite important when you're looking for improved performance. You have to have reliability from the suppliers. And because the suppliers are working for lots of different contractors, clients, it's almost a leap of faith for them to suddenly turn around and change what they do just to suit you. They've got other clients, other manufacturing to do, so it's very difficult. So again, if you can own the process, even better. But improved performance must have improved reliability. And when you get improved reliability, you can go to the last responsible moment. Program risk reduction. I'm working on T2A at the moment at Heathrow. We're just starting to look at that. We're demolishing Queen's Building and we've started Pier 1. We're looking at program risk, and we're sort of having discussions, you could say, and they want to put whole sections of risk in there because they know it never gets done, never gets done on time, and they want to open at a certain date. We're having discussions about reducing that risk period substantially, in fact, eliminating it completely. Why take a year off the programme just because they think they won't achieve what it is they're asking us to achieve? A lot of it is, at this stage that we're talking about, is about the creation of relationships, creation of contracts. And the way they procure this will set the scene for how it's delivered, really. Again, I'll come on to that a little bit later. But in terms of programme risk reduction, we're looking to eliminate it on a fairly big project, 1.2, 1.3 billion. From that, you obviously create a high level of programme certainty. And I think, again, on T2A, I joined the team about 15 months ago. I got there, looked at the programme, and there was a 5,000 item programme. And I said, can't read that. As everybody else said, we can't read it either. We've got that down to a single page. It's about 250 activities. And a lot of people think, to my life, guys, we're thinking, right, we're going to give this a really good look at this programme. It's fully logic linked, 5,000. It was growing daily. It's just going out of control. And as Nigel said, by the time you hit the print button, it's out of date. You can't really create a programme that is so much detail that's just unreadable. You know, it's pretty meaningless. And all of the time that this date's going back, of course the end date stays the same. So it took huge chunks of the period out of the programme there. Obviously, an overall shorter production period, that's what we're probably going to get first into. But again, by eliminating the risk and coming up with a programme certainty, you're looking for a shorter production period. Improve client value and client satisfaction. If the client gets what he wants, when he wants, at the price he wants, he's usually very happy. Doesn't happen a lot, unfortunately. And something that we try to strive to get to. An increase in safety, this is a big issue for us. The more stuff we can do off-site, the off-site assembly, the less people we have on-site, the less the risk of something going wrong. And probably, from some people's perspective, this is a sort of an offshoot, but for us it's fundamental. We're trying to de-skill sites, we're trying to make it an assembly area rather than a construction area, as I said before. And if we can do that and increase safety, hopefully everybody will appreciate that.